Hello and welcome. This is Michael Townsend, aka Roofamonger, and I'm working here on behalf of IGN.com to present you a starter guide for Scorpion in Mortal Kombat 1. We're going to be covering all the basics that you need to know to succeed and thrive with this character. So in every iteration of Mortal Kombat, things always change up, but then again, some things remain the same. So first, let's talk Scorpion's normals and which ones you need to watch out for. So the first notable normal to talk about for Scorpion is standing 2-1. So many characters have moves like this, and it's a good combo starter as well if it connects. But the thing about this move that is exceptional compared to most characters in the cast is the range compared to its relative speed. So it starts up in 10 frames, which many characters are stand 2, that's roughly where it starts up, except Scorpion's range is almost the best in the cast in the whole game compared to everyone else. This means he can contest from much further away and land clean hits and combos from much further away than the rest of the cast. Now, the penalty stand 2, it is a high, so that means even despite its range, it cannot hit someone who is crouching. However, the follow-up is a mid, which means it will catch people who are trying to specifically crouch, duck, and avoid the high. Very fast, very long range, safe on block, combo starter, has it all. Next, forward 3-2. So forward 3-2 is amazing on multiple levels. 1, forward 3 itself, 12 frame mid starter. This means in scenarios where people usually try to crouch jab after a string, this will usually beat them clean, because it is both fast and a mid, so it'll hit crouchers. And also, it launches on hit, and it launches into combos, so you can get whatever combos you deem applicable. And if the enemy blocks it, the move is what we call safe on block, meaning if you block right away, any attack they do, you will be able to block in time. So big reward on hit into full combo, and if it's blocked, not too much of a disadvantage. Very powerful string. Now, keeping with the theme of launchers, Scorpion is all about launchers and air combos and has forward 4. And forward 4 is just a launcher in and of itself. So you can use it for combos, it even combos into itself as you can see here. And also, if your enemy is prone to do a lot of jumping attacks, it is also a serviceable anti-air. Another new powerful addition to the moveset is back 3. So back 3 is almost a full screen low. Not quite, but it will hit from about 90% of the screen away. So it does a good amount of damage, and if the enemy is not already crouch blocking, they will be hit by it. So it's a way for Scorpion to control the screen in a great way, as the enemy always has to be prepared for it. This gives Scorpion great screen presence, as many characters will be inclined to just neutral duck against him, and if you're neutral ducking, he can easily hit you from almost all the way across the screen. Considering his spear and his teleport are both highs, and therefore you can crouch under them, this will punish people for crouching too much. Now on to his moveset. Scorpion still retains the classic spear, and it's useful in all the ways it's always been. Bare minimum, it will always give you a free and guaranteed combo. It can be something as simple as an uppercut, or you can make it as involved as you would like. There's a lot of routes to go through, and we'll show some example combos later in the video. However, it maintains its traditional weakness in that it is a high, and therefore people can crouch under it. If you are willing to spend meter though, the move will become a mid, which means you can no longer safely duck underneath it. So if people are crouching in anticipation of the move, you can toss out the EX version, and the mid will snag them and you can get full combos. Scorpion also retains the classic teleport attack. So you can do this while on the ground or while in the air. And fantastic for neutral and for combos. If you anticipate, say, a fireball toss, you can freely just teleport on the other end and punish the enemy. And naturally, the air version itself is fantastic for combos. Keep in mind, it does keep the weakness of it is a high, so therefore it can be ducked under, but that's why we have other tools like back 3 to discourage people who are just crouching. Another move that returns is Devouring Flame, aka the Hellfire. So he has this every now and then in the games, and in this game it is a full screen low. No matter where you are, it will track on the screen. Scorpion will get you as long as you're not in the air. So it's useful as a full screen option. Also a good combo ender, maybe not the most damage, but it does leave the enemy standing in front of your face with you having frame advantage. And the enhanced version is unblockable, so it is guaranteed damage even if they are blocking. So it is a great way to close out the round, and it also does a very little bit of damage over time after the fact as well. This being Liu Kang's new era, we also have some new moves. So the Blazing Charge is a very fast charge from Scorpion, and in which he will switch sides. So this is his fastest attack at a range, and it lets him punish moves due to its relative speed that he might not otherwise be able to punish. So it's quite strong in a lot of ways. Not the least of which, the enhanced version is armored. So if you know something's coming, you can bully your way through it with armor and hit the enemy. Another new move is the Kyo Snag. So this helps Scorpion have all sorts of new air combos and air potentials, as it's effectively like the spear, except you're doing it in the air. Now by itself, it doesn't do too much, other than it's a very easy layup for Kameos. So if I launch the enemy, and say call Cameo in at that point, it's very easy to recombo. So as you can see, it plays very well with Cameo assists. Now the enhanced version, you do not need any Cameo assists, as he'll basically pull himself towards the enemy once it connects. And now we can create our own self-sufficient combos if we're willing to spend the meter. So basically, it's an aerial way to extend combos, just like the spear is on the ground. Now you have the option in the air. And our final special move is the Twisted Kyo. So Scorpion will spin around the rope and just slice people up in a hellish blaze. And the enhanced version is much the same, just even more damage. This move is very much designed as a combo ender to get the maximum amount of damage possible. And also on block with the right Cameo usage, you can get some interesting things, as we'll talk about later in the video. Now, let's give you some example combos to work with here, starting with 2-1, as we mentioned how good that is. So here's an easier example. Here's one that's the same starter and setup, just a little bit trickier, as you have to delay your jumping too. The timing's a little bit more tricky, but you get more damage in the exact same scenario. Now let's try an example here where we'll burn some of our EX meter for more damage and in a more involved combo. So now we get even more damage yet because we have a more advanced combo because we're spending the meter. Now what about 4-3-2? So this is a combo starter by itself. So let's see what we can do here. Since we did not use the spear earlier in the combo, we can save it for later in the combo, and as you can see, the damage, even without spending any meter, is very high. And say we choose to spend some of that meter, as you can see, we get a fair bit of damage. There is a trick for that. After the air snag, you want to fall and wait before you do your jumping kick. If you do it as fast as possible, you will not hit the spear. Keep that in mind. And don't worry, the classics still work, so you can jump kick into teleport. And still get respectable damage. Now, let's show you some example Cameo synergy. So, as we showed earlier in the video, Scorpion actually plays quite well with himself. That's great. But it's more than just juggle combos. There's actually some interesting scenarios he can force thanks to his Hellfire Call. Like that very long range back three that we talked about. Despite the fact that it's a tripping attack, there is a very small part of this move where the enemy is airborne while being hit. Which means if you call the far Scorpion assist right as you're hitting, it will juggle the enemy. And now a simple trip leads to a lot of damage. Another great example of Cameo synergy is Kung Lao and his teleport. So the teleport lets you get combos that are otherwise not normally possible, and specifically we're going to be using the Hellfire here. Because Kung Lao can rip you out of the start of the animation, and the enemy will be in the Hellfire the entire time. However, you are being teleported, and turns out, if you time it correctly, you get a combo. And now, thanks to these extensions, you can add a lot more hits at the end of your combo and get even more damage. So Kung Lao is very handy in that way. Another interesting cameo application is Sonya. So she has the ring projectile, and if you hold the button, she will charge and do a very large blast, which will launch the enemy. And Scorpion, with Twisted Kyo, causes a very large knockdown, and the enemy can't do anything until they get back up. This means after the fact, you can freely set up Sonya, and then they have to worry about what you're going to do next. If I call Sonya and immediately teleport while I'm holding the button, that will become a natural combo. And that combo does a lot of damage. And also, since her attack is a mid, that means even if you try to avoid the teleport by crouching, the mid will still hit you on the other side. And say they decide just to block everything, it makes your teleport completely safe on block. So there's a lot of winning. Basically, the enemy has to start being airborne or jumping, or just consign themselves to the block and taking a lot of chip damage. So basically with Sonya, every time you end a combo in Twisted Kyo, you get this setup guaranteed and the threat of the ring. And of course, you don't have to even commit to the teleport. You can do whatever you want, and Sonya has her ring backing you up. Now, Cyrax and the Cyrax Copter gives us an interesting way to play. So in this way of playing, we don't care if you block or not. So take the Twisted Kyo move. It does a good amount of chip damage, however, it is unsafe on block. The enemy will get a full combo. But if we call Cyrax while we're doing the move, we will now be safe on block. We are pushed out. We don't have the same amount of negative frames. And the enemy will take about 10% of their life in pure chip damage. So in this scenario, block or don't, obviously it's better if they don't block, but if they do block, you are still dealing very appreciable damage to the enemy while pushing them out and keeping yourself safe. So your game plan can simply become, with this cameo choice, to grind the enemy down in the dust. Let them block all they want. You'll be dealing a terrific amount of damage to them on block. And that is some example cameos. That is the beauty of the cameo system, that whatever character you're playing, cameos give you multiple ways to play while still having the core base moveset of your character. And that said, hope you enjoyed the guide. Hope it helps. Thank you for watching, and for everything else, keep it here on IGN.